I have a message I'd like to share. This is something I've been sitting on for a while, and it's about time that I start speaking up from my authentic, real voice, my real self. The part of me, my soul, wants to speak out loud. But I've been so terrified of the world rejecting my voice, of showing my real self to the world that I've been hiding, deeply hiding myself. Because I don't trust any of you. How can I? You've rejected me so many times. The world's cast me out. I'm an exile. I've been exiled from multiple workplaces. I've been exiled from schools. I've been exiled from towns. My father cast me out. My mother was too busy for me most of my life, as much as I love her and I see her value. But my brother, he cast me out. My ex-wife. This is not my story. This is our story. How many of you feel like an exile in the world? Like you've been rejected, like you've been pushed out. This is real. We all feel this pain. There is two rivers of humanity. We are in a divergent split. And I'd like to explain a really big concept starting here. This is going to be the formation of everything that we do on this channel. We come from tribal society, tribal worlds. We come from the jungles. We come from the deserts. We come from the frozen tundras. We are a species that lived like the bonobo ape. Very communal. We worked together very closely. A lot of anthropologists and a lot of psychologists are starting to, the new ones, the cutting edge ones, the ones who are studying these things are starting to see that the early human being was an extremely social being. Our ancestor, they all worked together with great connectivity, big family groups. We all worked together to survive. We healed each other when we were sick. We nursed each other. We gave each other great care. We formulated big tribes circulating around the new generation, the children. And our tribe all worked together to help raise these children together. This was the early structure of the human civilization itself. Lots of separated, isolated tribes, all with their own general borders. If they had trade, they did trade with each other. We know that. They traded tools, they traded food. But generally speaking, we kind of just kept our own to our own. There were people who were cast out of these groups, but their lineage survives just as strongly in our marrow, in our bones, as they did. Who were these exiles? The exiles were people who either spoke against traditions, they spoke against what they perceived to be rotting institutions, false ways of being. They were the troublemakers, or they were the people who took another's life, or they were the people who took the sexual gratification from others without it being willing. These are people who stole, who lied, were cast out. And to a tribal person, this is as bad as death. This is a deep trauma. Imagining the only family you ever knew telling you to leave forever, cast out. Now you got to survive on your own. These exiles, as far as the formation of our early psychology, this is in us, in the way we think. These people had to be cunning to survive. These people had to be strategic. These people had to self navigate and develop stories, self perpetuating stories, a persona, in order to live with themselves and to survive in the world and to infiltrate and connect into other tribes, other villages, without them knowing exactly their nature. Very smart people. They had to be. If they weren't, they didn't make it. They didn't survive. They didn't pass on their genes. We are the result of the ones who did. And so I can define these people as cunning, as smart, as infiltrating, as strategic, because they're the survivors. This very formation, this very archetype is the survivor. The people who live in the villages, they have a different mentality, and that's thriving, connectivity. It's the formation of what you might see as the early communism versus the capitalism systems that we have now. In fact, if you break it down, everything in our modern society, from our cities, our social groups, our job structures, the financial institutions, everything is based on these two fundamental surviving groups. All of it. We are retelling the same story of the village versus the isolated one over and over in different ways, in grander ways, in small ways, in everything in our society. Look at a city. What is a city? A city is a collective of millions of people in deep isolation in themselves, carrying the pain and hurt, trying to mimic the village, trying to mimic the connectivity of sitting with your family, deeply connected with your family, your roots in your marrow and your bones and your blood, sharing bread, being seen by each other, feeling that oneness, that wholeness. How many of us today get to feel that? Not many. We mimic it in snippets. But in the structure of our society, what do we do when someone turns 18? We cast them out. Their first initiation, you're cast out. You're now a survivor, just like us. What happens when you get a job and you're not quite getting something? You're fired, you're cast out. What happens when we bond to each other in our schools? We get to a certain level and then we're cast out. And this is happening over and over and over. And every time it's a wound in the soul. We're constantly suffering this wound. This is the formation of the neurosis of modern society. We all bear it. We feel it. Every one of us. This is real. This is how society has become what it is. Now, the people who lived in the villages and the tribes and the connectivity and the family, it's not all lovely. It's not all perfect and harmonious. There's some trouble, there's some problems, there's stagnation. There is the vulnerability of the spread of STDs. There's all kinds of problems that happen in these groups as well. And when their collective survival is threatened, they're the ones who would do terrible, horrible things because their love for each other and their connectivity is what justifies it. And so they're the ones who will raid another village and kill everyone. They're the ones who will burn down a forest to make collecting food easier. These are people who will do terrible things also. And neither party is necessarily good or bad. The survivors actually have quite a lot of nobility in them as well, and ingenuity. They are a formation of the early inventors, where the collectives as well, they are the formations of the early nurturers and carers and healers. Both parties have amazing archetypes in them. But I think to go forward, to move forward in the world, we need to understand that everything in us, like that we're feeling, is inherent. It's tribal in origin and root. And I'm doing my best to explain what's setting me on fire right now with this emotional state because as I'm acknowledging this, I'm feeling the pain of it. We try to avoid it. We try to run from it. We try to distract ourselves, and we're getting really good at it. The creation of these computers and the computer games, entertainment, movies, dance parties, and discos, all these things are kind of mimicking what we might have to some degree connected to each other. Like if you're going online and you're listening to podcasts and tool like videos and everything, you're looking for that connection. You're looking for people who are like you to resonate with because there's this deep instinctive need for art, and we're not getting it. If you entertain and distract yourself in new and inventive ways, it stops you from feeling that background hurt, that background emptiness for a little while. There's a way forward. There is. We have to acknowledge that we are living in a society that perpetuates and magnifies the exile, the pain of that. We just do. Some families do a really good job of keeping together. You know, that's foundational. There's a reason why single family households are the greatest contributor to future generations of drug users, thieves, criminals, because they're survivors. Where the complete family units, they harbor a different type of archetype, and that's usually the healers, the nurturers, the carers, people who go out there and want to actually help people because they have that inner stability in themselves. We need to welcome the exile back home in our hearts. We need to bring it back. First, accept the pain of it. The world has done this to me. I feel a deep soul pain. It's real, can't escape it, just is. Accept it. It's there. But you don't have to perpetuate it. The world shows you a pain, it gives you the pain, and it can choose what to do with that. You can let it define you forever, or you can choose to create something better. And we can create something better than we've made. We need ritual. We need reunion. We need to start healing this wound. And as we heal it, we're opening the doors to that deep connectivity to each other again. And the more we do this and the more we bring together our groups, the more it's going to be a balm to our soul. It's going to be the answer to the thing that we've been looking for. I hope I've done a good job in conveying this message. I've really tried here to be clear. I hope you welcome your inner exile back home. And I hope you know what that means. To start healing this wound and start healing your pain. I care because I come from a whole generation of children who have felt this pain very deeply. My generation, just after Gen X, we're the cusp of Gen Y. We suffered the real separation of families. Like our generation saw that very strongly, and collectively, all the kids we had a deep pain. Like a lot of us. That's why we saw the massive rise of heavy metal culture, goth culture, this rise of independence and rebellion. It was expressed through us very uniquely and very darkly because it wasn't nice, but we started to form our little communities among ourselves, and that was good. but we stayed exiles in our hearts. We never let it heal. I never let it heal, not completely. I always kept a little bit in there. And the more I open this door, the more I realize how ingrained it actually is. Yeah. Anyway, this is today's video. This is me being very, very real with you and talking about this concept for the first time on the channel. I want to talk about this a lot more. I want to explore this from lots of different angles because there's so many angles to explore this from. When you see your world is just a retelling of this divergent story in many different ways, you'll start to see it everywhere when you deeply understand it, when you feel it in yourself. I don't hate the divergence. I don't hate that isolation instincts because there's some really good things there, but maybe we can bring that home with us. Like we've been on a long journey and now we've learnt so much and we're bringing it home to the collective and we're going to reform our collective, reform our families, our tribes, come together like a balm for the soul and just look after each other while keeping this power that we've developed. And I think that that's going to be the foundation for a new human society. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time.